And we should be live with the Catbros podcast. Haha. Success.
Yes, we are.
Hey. Never know if these things are going to work or not. Like
It's always a nice relief when they actually do.
Yeah, it's always like, it's like stepping off a cliff. Oh my god, what's happening? Before we get into the nuts and bolts of it, I'll share the links out. And you can tell people what's on the menu for today while I do that.
Well, as everyone knows, after the premiership victory from the Panthers last week, there has been plenty of drama. We're going to have a little bit of a chat about most of that and our thoughts and feelings about it. And then we're going to get into talking about the bottom four teams from this year, talking about how their seasons went and what we could be expecting of them early into 2022.
Drama? What drama? I don't know anything about that.
Oh yeah, totally. It's been a very quiet week in the world
Yes.
of rugby league news.
Very unusually quiet for a post grand final. Yes.
Also, nice to know that both of our teams in the NFL would be playing in the playoffs if the season had already ended. At least one Tigers team can play finals football.
Yes. Cancel it there. Season's over. Let's go. It's just frustrating having to. So difficult to watch the games. They're at like 4 o'clock in the morning here. And then, yeah, having to get the NFL pass and that over here, which I assume then will allow you to watch them whenever you want. But yeah, already got KO and a million streaming services, so it's one more charge on top of that.
Yeah, but, KO and not KO, Cincinnati and Carolina teams both play their games at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's like gotta go to work tomorrow, so I'm not doing that.
I think the Carolina Panthers game is on KO. Bengals one is not, but that's understandable, seeing as there's like 4 or 5 games all starting at the same time.
Yeah, interesting how that happens. Obviously, now we can essentially watch every game live. Oh well, they got a lot more teams though.
Yeah, they've got double the teams. They got 32.
Which will be interesting when, as we start getting more teams, we're obviously guaranteed to get the 17th team, and then there was mention that they're looking to go to 18 soon after that. So it'll be interesting to see how the draw goes.
Geez, they need a bit more of a talent pool if they want to go to 18.
Well, yeah, that's the big argument, is there's not enough playing and coaching talent. So in the NRL don't focus on, at least from what I've heard, on junior development and grassroots and all that sort of stuff. So see how they go.
Yeah, going from 16 to 17 teams doesn't add any extra games each week,
because you'll end up having to have a bye and all that sort of stuff. And
yeah, at least one team will have a bye every round. And in the major bye rounds, 9 teams will have a bye. The question I'm wondering is, will they keep it as a 25-round season, or will they add a couple of extra rounds so you're still playing the same number of teams twice, and then you've just got an extra team to play once?
I'm not sure. I'll probably work out the specifics later. Oh, even though we did get a bit off topic for a second there.
We're good at that.
Yeah, that's what happens here. We talk and ramble and all fun and casual. Not like, welcome to tonight's news. Very formal. This isn't NRL 360.
Not even close.
No. That's drama.
I'm not gonna be the Paul Kent of this of this stream and say the Panthers are done. I'm not gonna do that.
No, you need to be a lot crankier and probably a lot shorter too.
And a lot grayer in the hair.
Yeah. You need to talk over people more and tell them how they're stupid, and then pretend like you never get anything wrong.
Interrupting and abuse and incapable of wrongdoing or wrong saying, I guess, would be the more appropriate phrase.
Yes. But didn't you know, the more you talk over someone, the more correct you are. That's actually how logic works. So.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why in formal debates, you always see everyone talking over the top of each other. Get extra points for it. Yes. So back to that is, oh my god, it's the week which became basically the media coming after the Panthers instead of like being able to celebrate, the first premiership win in forever. We're talking about all the drama. The only one that I personally found a problem was the Tyrone May stuff. It was, think a bit, how you going? It was a bit much. It definitely, whatever he meant, it came across as he was trying to basically use the premiership to sort of boost his ego and have things to say because of his court stuff. Like, aha, everyone trash talked me and look at me now, haha. It's like, bro, your one grand final highlight is a knock on. You should be a bit more humble and just celebrate the win, Maybe post some pics and say, hey, job well done, whatever. Yeah, whatever the young people are saying these days.
But using the picture of you with Ivan.
And the funniest thing was, if he didn't use, he could have used the exact same song lyrics, just with different pictures. And then, most people would just assume that you're talking about the media stuff, like, Kenty saying they're done, internet trolls giving him shit. But he had to include it with that picture. And it's like, bro, the optics of that, whatever you meant, the optics are absolutely horrible. Like, this is why, like, they should just, in general, clubs should maybe, after a big event like that, should maybe like, all right, all phones confiscated, or, we're going to monitor the socials for, the next 48 hours or something. Let them just go nuts, do their thing in private.
Just chillax with it.
Yeah, like, you don't need to post everything all over social media, because even if, like, especially with the amount of drinking that goes on, no matter what happens, you're going to make yourself look a bit stupid. Like, they're on, like a 3-day bender or whatever it is, like getting absolutely trashed and acting like, idiots. There's nothing wrong with that. Leave the phones behind. You don't need to talk yourself up. Maybe we'll post, giving it to Kenty. Those media guys love that sort of stuff, because then they get to write stories about it, and they love the back and forward between them and players. So maybe a little haha up yours, Kenty. You said we were done, and then leave it at that. I think that would have been cool, because, like I said, the media like it, so it's not like, they're getting upset by it because it gives them headlines. And then next season,
they'll cling on to everything and everything in the media.
That's what I mean.
We know
so,
that.
Like, it just, the rest of it, though, I'm not really bothered by. Like, you look at the trophy thing. I mean, the Raiders dropped the trophy out of the back of the car in the motorcade at the end of the 80s when they won.
Yeah.
And that's the way that's talked about now, even by guys like Kenty and all that. Like, we all look back on it as, like, fondly remembered, rugby league folklore. But Penrith do it. Oh, it's a crime against humanity. And it's like, what are you doing? Like,
everything is wrong with the world.
Yeah, like, oh my god, the competition's cancelled now. That's it. No more football. They broke the trophy. Like, I just don't see the issue. They're rowdy blokes being rowdy, whatever. Like, they didn't drop it out of a car, and that's not the only time it's happened either. There's other examples. Someone mentioned one the other day, but I've forgotten what it is now. Like, these things happen. It happens in other comps too.
I think the big thing that the powers that be, or the big problem that the powers that be are having with what happened with the trophy, is how they treated it after they broke it.
Yeah.
The power brokers feel like it's really disrespectful to Provan and Summons.
Yeah.
Which I can agree with. It's not exactly the greatest thing in the world.
No, but
the question is, how much would they be punished for it if they do get punished?
I wouldn't be punishing them at all. I would think a punishment would be a bit much in that scenario. The only one I could see being worth a serious look at would be the Tyrone May stuff, because that's legitimately hurting the reputation of the game in the NRL. Like, they let him play after he went through all this stuff. He stood down for a year, like, big drama, really bad, and it just, that sort of brings a bit of stain on the game. And for an industry that is absolutely 110% reliant on public image, you've got to be careful with that. This other stuff, I think, is just a bit of a beat up. They're just doing it because they can, and it's drama, and the media love drama. I mean, you look at the hilarious stuff that's happening now. I mean, it's entirely possible that it's even said in the articles that have come out about it, that he could have had no idea what the hell happened with these friends of his coming up. Like,
yeah, the problem is the perceived link that he has to what's going on.
Yeah, but we're at the point, where it's like, oh, a Penrith Panthers fan who met Nathan Cleary once, the puppy Nathan Cleary to be investigated by the integrity unit.
Anything for a headline, eh?
Like, that's what it feels like. It's like, it's like, it gets a bit ridiculous. It's like, there are things worth it, sure, and it was the same during the year. There are things that were worth scrutiny, like the trainer thing that happened in the Parramatta game and whatnot, but they get every little detail regardless of whether it's worth it or not. Start chasing a club after it because, hey, drama headlines, click on this, hate the team. And it's like, cool. Just gets annoying after a while.
And drama and chaos-filled final series is what we ended up with.
Yeah, well, look, a lot of Eels fans think they should have been playing Melbourne in the prelim.
Hey, my team wasn't even in the finals, and I had enough finals stress as well.
Have you considered that maybe all the games you lost this year were because Penrith cheated with a trainer somehow, some way?
I'm saying so. I'm putting not winning that tipping comp down to that fact.
I mean,
it is the only reasonable response, I reckon.
Yeah, the odds are probably pretty good. There's more than a 50% chance, I think, that's what happened. Like the Roosters game, you guys were in that game until mysteriously somehow Luke Brooks kicks it dead twice. Now, would he have done that if it wasn't for a Panthers trainer?
Absolutely not.
I don't think so.
The Panthers trainer must have been doing some fucking voodoo magic behind the scenes or some shit.
Yeah, I think if you check the footage, you will find something. Granted, it'll be subtle. You'll need to look really carefully, but I think we can.
I reckon so. I'll get it. I'll get into that over the off season.
Yeah,
put myself through the pain of watching all the games be lost again.
Exactly. I think we can work it out, and Volandis needs to get on this like ASAP.
I'll try and pinpoint the moment the first time we played you guys this year where the Panthers trainer got Brooks's hair and did some voodoo shit. And
yeah, you'll probably see it.
Like I'll look for that.
Just runs past and just plucks it out on the way past. It happened. It happened. I think that just about covers it. It's nothing new. I think everyone's used to it. All our teams have copped it at some point or another. I mean, you look at you as a Tigers fan. Jesus Christ! Yours is actually worse than ours. Like ours is, like they're trying to drum up drama, but you guys are like, bloody a literal tiger in the jungle did something, and somehow West Tigers are faulty. Like anything connected to the Tigers is a headline now.
And like in saying that, were there actually any finals football games happening in finals week 1? It didn't feel like it with the amount of Tigers articles they were producing.
You guys got articles all through that finals series. Week 1 was the worst because you would assume there was actually no finals football on. The way the media went on with that.
We had taken a leaf out of the AFL's pre-finals bye week and just done that, and they just shit piled on the Tigers for the entire bye week
Yeah,
because
that
there was absolutely no footy going on.
which isn't bad for a team that didn't make finals. Like, you knew it would be big being the anniversary and all that, but I don't know. It's I don't know. Bit extreme, I think. Like, and it's so obvious too. Like, fans of every single club can see it. Like, you see the jokes around and stuff started coming up where it's like, you know, player who once played at Leichhardt, yeah, did something, Tigers at fault. It's like, I really felt for them by the end of that. It was, I don't know. It's almost more disappointing than the crap around my own team at the moment. And I said almost. But man, they got extreme with that. Yeah. So we move on to our previews. I won't say preview again. I'll get it right this time.
It's a review with a hint of a preview.
Yeah, a bit of both. We get to see my shame of I went into this season trying to say why everyone would be better than they were last year. And that didn't quite pan out.
No, we'll get to the most extreme case of that with me towards the end of this stream.
Yeah, but like, especially because, you know, preseason, everyone's doing their ladder predictions and all that nonsense, and everyone likes, because NRL is so tribalistic, everyone likes taking a dump on everyone else and for a laugh and all that. So I thought, you know what, I'll come into this season nice and positive. Let's talk about what everyone achieve and how much better they can do.
Like, I tried to do a lot of the same as well. I laid down a lot of my biases at the door and like all the teams I hated, and I was literally like, okay, how do I honestly see this season shaping out? And I've kind of just rolled with that.
Yeah. But yeah, some of it didn't quite work out. Like, yes, hey, we'll get to it when we go through the teams
Certain
more
teams
specifically.
that finished in 13th.
We won't name any names or point any fingers. But there was some hurt and let down happening. Especially my damn tips ruined it.
So for the listeners, I've got 6 questions that we'll pretty much go through with each team we talk about over this episode and the next 3. Basically, where did both of us predict them to finish? Picking both a highlight and a low light of their season. Who we think was that club's MVP. Any promising rookie or rookies that played for the club who looked like they could have a bright future, and our early thoughts on how that team is looking for 2022.
Sounds good to me. Especially when I get to look back on what I said earlier in the year and point and laugh, basically.
Yeah, I ended up putting... I had to go back to that video you posted earlier in the preseason on your main channel of, I think it was called Why Everyone's Ladder Opinion Sucks, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Because I very unironically put my ladder prediction in the comments of that video.
Yeah, like I said, I tried to go into the season really positive because, yeah, there's a lot of, I guess, shots fired across from fandom to fandom, and go through all those preseason videos of all the ladder predictions, and everyone's being super negative about everyone else's team. And you're like, man, I just want some positivity. Let's be positive. And then it's like,
yeah, let's be positive and tell everyone why their ladder prediction sucks.
Yeah, because everyone's like, your team will fail. You suck. And I'm like, man, let's at least try and add, like, maybe some teams might not finish so well, but here's why they can be good.
Yeah, for the most part, that was after my barrage of comments in your Discord server about how many ladder predictions I found on YouTube had the Tigers for like 16th or 15th.
Man, the amount of
And I'm
wooden
like, come
spoon
on.
predictions for you guys, like, fair enough, maybe they wouldn't have the best year, but I was confident you weren't getting the wooden spoon at least.
I mean, we've found a way to avoid it for 22 seasons now. We're doing something decent
Something
at
alright.
least.
First cab off the rank, so to speak, is the Bulldogs, who, we'll go straight to it, I said would be in that middle of the table sort of for and against battle that usually happens, where it's like usually decided by between, what is it, usually like maybe 12th, 11th, and 8th in that area.
Yeah, 8th to 12th is usually where that for and against battle is most likely to take place.
Like everyone, that was at that point where everyone was saying Trent Barrett was the sort of the attacking master coach of Penrith when he came over. We'd had a bad 2019, 2020 when he came over as assistant after his Manly thing. So I thought, because the Dogs, they played, you could see they played with a bit of effort, a bit of heart. They finished off their years really well. So I thought, okay, if he comes in, breathes a bit of new life into them and helps their attack improve, and they were getting Karl Flanagan, who wasn't like superstar half or anything, but he'd been at the Roosters, done his thing. I thought maybe a few spots up the ladder might be good for him, a few extra wins, but man, did that not pan out. Like you could see there was just something wrong from like the first couple of weeks. I think, what was it? Was it 3 or 4 weeks they went without scoring a try?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like,
3 consecutive rounds from rounds 2 to 4, I'm pretty sure it was.
yeah, it was in there, and it's like, holy crap. What the hell? This is supposed to be Trent Barrett, who was credited with Penrith's attack, and they can't score a point. You're like, what the fuck is happening?
As for my prediction, I pretty much had the same thought. Like their usual end of season surge will pull them up a few spots. So I had them around 12th. That's kind of that middle ground of the bottom 8 where I thought they'd go. But yeah, extremely underwhelming. Just not a whole lot went right for them. Kind of a season to forget, really.
Yeah.
Not a season they'll want to remember for a while.
Yeah. No, they'll definitely want to be over that. And I did think Jack Hetherington would have a better year. I mean, at some point, you'd expect him to chill out a bit.
Straighten himself up.
Yeah, but it's just like, no matter what he does, he's determined. Like, the game against us, for example, was the perfect example. I think it was like his first and second tackle of the game against us or something were both high shots or something, like something ridiculous like that. Like, you're like, what are you doing?
I think it was also his first game back after the send off and suspension he copped against the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's like,
earlier in the year.
I do think to a point he's unfairly targeted on reputation, but at the same time, he makes it hard for the officials not to as well. Like, he has to do what he can do to fix that. Whatever that might be.
Yeah. Something needs to change there, but we'll get more into their signings later on for next year. Because there's been a bunch.
Well, I guess one of the questions, where are our questions? Where do we start again? How'd you list?
So that was what we thought of them for, or what we expected from for them for this year. Their high point of their season. There are 2 that I can't really pick between that I feel like are both that are high points for both.
Well, you say, and then we'll see where we go.
Their first win against the Sharks in round 7, there was a lot of emotion behind that win, and we saw what it meant to Trent.
Yeah.
Getting the boys getting over the line for that one.
Yeah. Scenes of him crying after that game. Tears.
or their win in the final round against the Tigers, because that's going to give them a bit of confidence and some momentum heading into
Honestly, I think those points.
probably a big off
I
season.
think those points are equal for different reasons. So the first
obviously
one
they were
was
guaranteed the spoon after mid-season or whatever, but they got that win in the final round. And
the first
it wasn't
one,
just a win; it was emphatic.
Yeah, but that first one was very important. I think they had to get that just to relieve some mental pressure. I think, and you sort of had, just like you said, how important it was to them. It's like, Trent, I think as a coach needed that just to, all right, let's, and then that final win, it's just good to go into the next season with that.
And they got off to a pretty good lead in that game as well, but then the Sharks came back and really made them work for it and try to hold on. And the holding on part that they were actually succeeded in doing was the part that probably would have been the most pleasing for coaching staff.
Yeah, exactly. That's the important thing for it, is they needed to be able to show that they could do it. But during the preseason, they can go back to that game now and say, look, that's defensive effort. This is what we need to achieve on a regular basis. This is how you win games. You don't win games, like, obviously it helps, but flashy attack is one thing, but this is where games are won and lost, like your Penrith's final season series. But that's something they can draw from. But that final game as well will give them just that little bit of sort of mental confidence, I guess. We had that end of 2019. Terrible year, missed the 8, but we had a really good win against the Knights.
Yeah, and after that, them.
Yeah, I had Cleary broke the club record for points scored in a game.
He did,
which was previously held by Ryan Girdler. And a lot of fans came out of that. Funny enough, even though we missed the 8, there was a surprising amount of confidence among the fan base. Oh, interesting. It just sort of went from there. That's what I think the Dogs have on their hands right now, is if they can bottle that going forward with all the new signings and everything. Well, I think
there's been a lot of turnover, though. That's the issue. There's been a lot of turnover, so there's not going to be as many of the squad members that have that. But then you see they've got a player like Burton coming over, and he's just won a grand final.
You've got players from successful clubs, so I think they've got the potential, but it's who the fuck knows, though. Cohesion takes time. I remember when Gronk and Tedesco went to the Roosters and it took them half a season, and everyone was like, oh, it's taken them a bit to gel, and then we know what happened after that. Once they eventually clicked, and then they went and won 2 grand finals in a row. But so new players at a club might take a bit to gel, I don't know. But we'll see what happens. But with players like Burton, Addo-Carr, the guys they've signed, they'll be able to attack a lot better. Like, it was infuriating watching them this year. They'd have moments where, like, they'd have an overlap, and like the center would have the ball. Bloody Hopewade was the worst at it. He'd have the ball and he'd look and he'd be like, you know what? I'm not going to pass it here.
Just leave it.
And there was a game, one really bad one. They were coming. I can't remember the game off the top of my head now. There were a couple points behind. A try pretty much wins the game. And his perfect try scorer opportunity, massive overlap. Like, literally, the center was at the winger, and it was nothing but space for like 20 meters. So the Bulldogs winger just had all space, and he just refuses to pass it. And even as a neutral fan, I was screaming at the TV. It was the most infuriating thing I've ever seen happen on a football field. I'm like, you literally just cost your team the game because you didn't pass the ball. Like, what the hell? So I think it's basic football instincts like that are 100% guaranteed to improve this year for them.
Oh, for sure.
So those little things in games that, decision making and execution that can't not improve because of the turnover. It's like your goal.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be something there.
It's like the step up from reserve grade to first grade. Like that's basically what they're doing right now. Because their roster was absolutely a shambles. Pretty sure Bulldogs fans would probably agree with that.
Yeah, they did have some salary cap drama, though. I don't remember what caused it, but there was some salary cap drama that did hold them back for a couple of years.
Yeah. Which is why they got to the position they were in. Like, it's understandable what happened. These things take time to fix
Desi's
up.
fault as well.
Yeah. Back-ended contracts, and pretty sure that's actually what made the NRL tighten the rules around back-ending contracts and stuff like that.
To avoid any future instances.
Because otherwise clubs just do that, and then look how long it's taken them. And even now, they're still, not looking perfect. It's going to take them a while. But I don't think they still don't have really a hooker who's going to elevate them up. Like when we got Happy Coruscant, for example. A lot of people underestimate how much that improved us. So,
yeah, a lot of people underestimated Appy as a player as well. And
yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see how their signings go, but they're pretty much complete new backline. They needed a hooker, but, see what happens. I don't know. I hope for them. I hope for everybody.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You can hope for everyone, but still, 8 teams are going to have to miss out anyway.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's like...
for one more year until it'll be 9 teams have to miss out. Geez, that's going to make things a tad bit more intense, isn't it?
Yeah. With a bit of luck,
powers that be will finally get their, or not the powers that be, the nuffies who are all about having less teams make the final series will sort of kind of get what they want. Sort of, kind of.
With a bit of luck, it makes everyone that little bit more accountable. There's essentially less chance of making the 8, which I think is a good thing. I'm looking forward to that part of having the extra teams, because now you have to work that little bit harder, and it will make teams that little bit more accountable.
Like saying that you want less teams making the finals is all well, like a 6-team final series is all well and good, but with the 17th team and an 8-team final series, you're still going to have less than half of the comp now playing finals football.
Yeah.
So you will have to be in that top half of the comp clearly to play.
And
that
I
9th place team is going to be exactly middle of the road.
Yeah, exactly. I prefer achieving it that way. Like, I'd rather than exclude teams, add more teams. Like, that's, I mean, I was hoping we'd go to 18 teams. They'd get all the planning sorted out, work it out, so we'd get the extra game a week. I'm not looking forward to the buys in that, but yeah, I prefer achieving it through adding, not taking away, because that would be stupid. I wouldn't. I don't know. I like the way the current final series formatted. I'm actually a bit of a fan of it.
It actually really showed this year how important that second chance is, because you won the comp with it. You had to do it the hard way, and you had to get through Melbourne to do it. But the fact of the matter is you did it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I like that. It's like, okay, you are the top 4 of the competition out of 16 teams, soon to be 17 or 18 teams. We're going to reward you with this, and yeah, like I said, it worked. Cowboys did it in 2015. You get that second chance, and you can make use of it. Or you get the week off if you win. Like, it's, or even in 2017, granted, Cowboys had no chance to win that. I think pretty much from halfway through the season, everyone was saying, yeah, thought am I going to win it? But look at that. They just scraped into 8th. I think it was the Bulldogs game that year. Who did they play? I'm going to look it up, because I'm pretty sure it was the final round of 2017. That was
I remember they beat the Tigers in the second last round, and that upped their chances, but they still needed to win that final game to get the job done.
It was against the Dragons. So the Bulldogs in the final round of 2017 beat the Dragons 26-20. And it was
enough for 8th.
That the Cowboys got into 8th place by 2 points so, because the Dragons, if they won that, then they would have made 8th and gone into the finals. But because they lost to the Dogs, Cowboys got it, which bit of good luck for them. And then they went through and did the grand final. Because they played one of the best months of football you probably ever see. Like their forward pack and Michael Morgan just decided, oh yes, we have increased our power by over 9,000. Joy.
Yeah, they absolutely killed it that final series.
Of course they got to the grand final and they just looked worn out, but it was a good run up there.
They did also lose a player very
in the first like 5 or 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I think it was like 4 or 5 minutes into the game.
I mean, the Storm only lost 4 games all year. Like we talk about the unevenness of the comp this year. The Storm only lost 4 games all that year. Like we all knew they were winning that grand final. It was not happening any other way. Yeah, just a bit of off-topic trivia.
So back to the Doggies.
Yes.
Their low point.
Well, it has to be that couple of week period where they didn't score a try, right? Like no points at all. Like
yeah, that's what I put. That 3-week period.
You're just hoping they'll kick a field goal just to get a point. Like, come on, guys.
They were lucky that some of those games were played in rain. Like the round 2 game against the Panthers was played in that absolute monsoon.
Yeah, it was horrible weather, but like otherwise they were going to get absolutely killed.
Who were the other 2 teams they played in that little period? I remember they played the Storm in round 5 and they scored points, but they also conceded 50 as well.
So the Bulldogs this year, so round 2, they played us. Round 3, they played the Broncos and they lost 24-0. So we got round 2, Panthers 28-0. Round 3, Broncos 24-0. Round 4, Eels 38-0. So yeah, Rabbits. It was 1, 2, 3. So Panthers, Broncos, Rabbitohs, sorry. The reason I'm saying the word eels and I'm looking at the rabbit right in front of me.
That's gold.
Oh, looks like I'm getting sacked from National Geographic.
You can't tell your difference between your rabbits and your eels? What's wrong with you?
I was going to take over from David Attenborough, but that's gone now. And then...
The dream, no more.
I know. A dream job, gone. And then, round 5, they played the Storm. It is actually the Storm. I think. Could be.
Yeah, it is. And it was funny. Everyone expected in that game that their scoreless streak would extend to 4 games, but no, they scored 3 tries.
The Storm of all teams, where everyone was like, they're going to get beat by like 80 points to 0, and they actually scored 18. It's like, holy crap.
Still conceded 50.
Yeah,
but take the little wins, hey?
Yeah, you'd. The small victories. But yes, I'm definitely calling that their low point, without a doubt. That was horrible.
For sure.
That was the soul-crushing part of the year. I don't think
any hope that the Bulldogs fans might have had just evaporated in the space of 3 weeks, starting the 2nd week of the season.
Yeah.
Because they showed some promise in round 1 against the Knights. They were severely refed out of it.
I thought they got refed out of that game, and I thought, the Dogs showed up, they played well, and I thought they got refed out of that game. I said it somewhere online as well. And I'm like, that was crap. That was absolutely crap. And then it's like, I don't know what happened. They just died in the arse. It's like whatever the positive that they had just completely fell out of the bottom.
Yeah, like the penalty count in that game was 5-0. The Knights didn't concede a penalty. It was, they were refed out of it pretty bloody hard, but they still showed fight. Like 32-16 for a round 1 loss wasn't all that terrible.
No, and you'd expect them not to be at their best with a new coach coming in and changing the systems and everything, and players having to get used to things. And so it did look kind of promising.
Yeah, and then they just come out and the Matt Burton grudge match in round 2 and get absolutely slaughtered in the monsoonal conditions at Bankwest.
That was that was crazy watching that.
I don't think I actually got to watch that game. I'm pretty sure that game was on while I was driving up to Sydney for the Tigers to eventually get belted by the Roosters.
Oh, back when we were allowed to actually watch games.
Yeah, those were the good old days.
The good old days. That's crazy to think about now. Hopefully we get back to it next year. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm hoping so as well.
Any of those questions we haven't answered? Where did we predict them to finish? What was the highlight of the season? Answered. Low light, definitely answered.
MVP.
Interesting. I would either say Thompson, the forward. Probably going to be my pick, I think.
You reckon Luke Thompson?
Yeah. Averillo as well. Probably between those two. I think Averillo, they moved him to half. And as the season went on, he started to look really good. Like, you know, like genuine first grade running half if you can give him a good halves partner. Or fullback, maybe. Like, you know, maybe if you stick Burton at 5'8", him at fullback, and then maybe with those two, Flano might be able to have a better year. I don't know, but whatever. But yeah, but I think for me, it's between Averillo and Thompson.
Yeah, okay. I sat there thinking about that one for a bloody while, and I couldn't really pinpoint any players.
It's difficult when a team has a year like that, granted.
Yeah, it was the hard part. I ended up settling on Josh Jackson. He doesn't always do anything wild or insane or
he's not a highlight magnet,
you know. Yeah, but he's their captain, he's their leader, and he gives 110% for that team every week. Is kind of what I settled on.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Like, it would be difficult being the captain of a team in that situation.
Yeah, and it's been a rough few years. Like, I think their last finals appearance was 2016, and I think for the most part they've been in the bottom 4 every year since.
Yeah.
I don't think they've had a season from finish from 9th to 12th since 2016.
Yeah.
I think it's always been that 13 to 16 area. So it's been a difficult few years, but you always think that if there's one player who hasn't let that team down, it's their captain, Josh Jackson.
Yeah. As far as effort goes, I don't think you can doubt him the slightest. He's definition of 110%. Like, if he was in a Roosters or a Storm or a Panthers or, you know, any of those sort of top 8, top 4 teams, you know, Rabbitohs, like, he'd be one of those guys like Isaiah, you know, Cameron Murray, the guys you sort of, you know, your Boyd Cordners along that line of effort and 80 minutes of I'm putting everything into my team so that way the guys who do the highlight plays can actually do their job. Like, you need a guy like that in your team. And it's a shame they didn't have the rest of the squad to back it up. But yeah, he can definitely hold his head high. Like, I wouldn't argue if he was to get Player of the Year for them. I didn't pick him myself, but yeah.
I think I don't actually know who got the awards for a lot of clubs, but I think he might have been the one who got it for the Dogs.
Like, I wouldn't begrudge him for getting it for sure. Especially in, I don't know how it goes for other sports. I assume it's pretty similar. It's like those effort players don't get as much acknowledgement as the highlight players. So, like, you're looking at, you know, something like NFL. Yeah, your quarterback's the guy who's going to be getting all the hype. You know, in the NRL, it's your halfbacks, your fullbacks. You know, wingers every now and again get a bit, but not really.
You look at that stat for the Clive Churchill winners in the last 17 or 19 years or whatever it is, and all of them but 2 have been one of those positions out of fullback, halfback, or 5'8".
Yeah, that says it all, doesn't it?
It's the influential positions on the field. It's
Yeah.
not where you recognise
Like-
most of your.
You've got 13 positions on a field, and two positions are like 2 or 3 of the majority holders of Dally M's, which I kind of don't like. It's like you look at our year, right? Like we don't have that year. For example, if Isaiah Yo isn't in that team, we simply don't win the competition if Isaiah Yo doesn't play. New South Wales probably don't win that if Isaiah Yo doesn't play. Or at least doesn't look as convincing as it did. But maybe they still win because we had a much better roster than they did. But like the work that him and Cameron Murray do as locks is ridiculous. Like they've taken it from being a prop to a prop who can defend like better than most people in the team, plus also play like a halfback. Like I don't say this, I'm not even exaggerating. Isaiah Yo would be a better halfback than a lot of those bottom 4 teams have right now. If you go back and watch some of his ball playing and his skill that he does in the middle of the field there, giving our halves that extra space, he ball plays like a half, genuinely taking options, like with vision. He will look up and he will take options or run the ball depending on what's there. Like it's better than a lot of halves have done, like Flanagan and these guys. It's crazy. And Cameron Murray's the other example I use. Like he was quite similar.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're right. And that's why it kind of bugs me that, yeah, those positions get like all the recognition. Like give these guys something, yeah. Like
another one, a Tigers one. Look at Alex Twal, and especially late in the season, his tackle efficiency, his minutes played, his
what was
like
that?
all of those little 12.
Oh, yep.
All those little the little effort things. He's become an absolute toiler, yet he doesn't really have any awards, let alone a bloody try to show for any of it.
Yeah. So it kind of gets forgotten about, but especially because the team overall doesn't do well. But he's a guy who, again, like, like our Dogs example, because they're in a team not going so well, if you put them into a top team, we'd be talking about these guys as some of the best in the comp in their position. Like if you put Twal into a Roosters or Storm, for example, you increase his value ridiculously because he is so good individually at what he does. It's just the team around them isn't playing that well.
Isn't the best.
Yeah. Hey, Aaron, Dominic. Hey, Aaron, I just gave you some options to go with that $10 bet. Ooh, we're betting now, are we?
Oh, I had a bet on the grand final, with the same game multi, with 3 of the 4 legs getting up. So I ended up getting the money back that I put on the bet as a bonus bet. I've only got 12 hours left to use it.
The ticking clock.
So I've got to throw $10 at something, and I asked Flex what he reckons would be the most guaranteed, if you will, game of the weekend in the NFL.
Nice.
I'm not going to do anything fancy with it. I'm probably just going to put it on like a winner. Just see if I can get money back for a winner.
Yeah. So, I think maybe next year, maybe over the year, because I think from what I've heard, the NFL pass is like similar to KO, but you've got to pay for it up front. So I think maybe this year I'll put bits of money away into an account or something over the year, and then for the next season I might do the upfront cost with the NFL. Yeah, maybe $5 or $10 a week. Just put a bit of money away or whatever, just little bits, and then get that, because like I've been wanting to get into it, but it's really difficult when you don't.
Have you seen what it costs?
No, I haven't looked at it yet. I haven't been gamed. I'm just so busy, but we'll have a look
What's
now.
it called?
Let's have a look. NFL Game Pass, I think. It has a 7-day free trial, but I won't do that now. Click on the link.
Ooh. NFL Game Pass now 25% off. Ooh, fancy.
Ooh. All right, so there's different levels. Okay, there's a free version. You can't watch games live. Pre-selected weekly games live. No. You get NFL Network live 24/7. Or what that is. That like maybe like their new shows, like their versions of NRL 360, whatever, maybe. Game full game replays, no. What else do you get? Game highlights Sunday in 60.
I think that's 60 minutes.
Game highlights 5 minutes. You get like the little clips and stuff for the free version. Yeah. Which fair enough. Like I kind of don't mind that. Like you get something at least.
Game still previews. It says live and on demand, so
like which I like. Like so pro version's $200 for a year. So which gives you everything. So let's if I go we go what 200 divided by, let's say we do that over 20 weeks. That's $10 a week. So yeah, say put $10 a week away or something, an account, and then do that next year. Especially being on demand. Like there is no way I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning on a work day to bloody try and watch that. Like I'd still only get to watch the first probably half of the game, and then I'd have to go to work. So there, and then maybe next year we can properly get into it, and maybe even include it in our little streams.
Yeah, could be an option.
This is interesting to me. I like the contrast to the NRL. You know, it's slowed down a bit. It's a lot more strategic. It's like watching chess versus watching, you know, like gladiators, I guess. That's
and KO is literally just like a luck of the draw thing.
Yeah, like credit to them having something, but it's definitely luck of the draw with that. All right, Bulldogs promising rookie. What have you got for that?
I think Beyond Iodo was probably the one that stood out the most to me, but I threw in an honourable mention to Jackson Tapine or Torpine or however it's pronounced, because he developed somewhat of a cult following on the socials. So he must be a popular one.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't pay very much attention to the Bulldogs, so I kind of catch snippets here and there, which means I didn't really catch too much of what happened with their young brigade that they have coming through. But yeah, Beyond Iodo was the standout from what I had seen.
That'd probably be my pick too. Yeah, that'd definitely be my pick too. I think it's one of those cases, if he can play hooker, for example, and make a really good goal of it, because that's where I see their big weakness. You bring over Burton, you've got Averillo that can play in the spine with him. Like, it's young, fair enough to him, and yeah, maybe it'll take him time to gel, but yeah, he looked promising. But no, I can't argue with that at all. I think definitely him with honorable mention. Tapine, because he looked alright too. Like he did really well. Funny enough, pretty sure. I know Averillo played a bit last year. He's kind of technically in that sort of up and comers as well. So they've got a few. It's going to be crazy. I wonder who will have the youngest team in the comp next year. That's what it makes me think. I know we had the second youngest, and I think you guys had the youngest this year. We were youngest last year. Can't remember now.
I think we were the youngest last year.
Yeah. Maybe we were the second. We were the second youngest 2 years in a row.
2020,
Maybe
I think so.
I don't know, but they're definitely going to be going for that record. I think with all their turnover this year. It's a shame because they actually had a bit of experience there, but the experienced guys just weren't doing it for them.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, that when you get to that point, you're like, nah, let's just clean slate, start again. But I'm really keen to see how like Burt and that fit into the squad. Like I will be cheering them for a lot of games next year. No one get offended, but seeing my boys Berto and NATO go across there, I'd be quite keen to see how they go. Especially Naden, he's been good with us, but never really looked like he was going to own a position. And at times, that didn't look like any fault of his own. Like, I remember arguing, even when Mansell was here, who I love Mansell, he's a club legend as far as I'm concerned. I still, Naden looked like a better winger than him at the time.
Yeah.
I thought he should have had that wing spot 2020. So at times, it's like the coaching kind of didn't really allow him to lock down a spot. So
you can say the same thing about the coaching for a lot of the lower teams.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the factors for some of the lower teams was coaching.
Yeah.
Choices.
So hopefully Naden can go across there and just give him a spot and he can just play there all year. I think he'll be really good once he gets allowed to do that. Even when he played for us, he switched between centre and wing on and off throughout 2020, and then at the end of the year played centre, then in the first final then got shifted to the bench. It's like the poor bloke got kind of screwed a bit, I think.
Yeah, you need to be able to find that groove.
Like if player doesn't have consistency like that, you can't really judge him too negatively. Like granted he had a bit of off-field stuff at the end of 2020, but you know, for a lot of the season, there was talk of he was mentally, I think, struggling a bit off season, so off the field. So if at the end of the year, then he turned to substances, as we'll call it.
Yeah, those things.
Which he got lucky. They recently changed the rules, so he only got suspended, and his suspension ran out just before the season started. And then, funny enough, the full game suspension he had at the start of the year was actually club imposed. Which goes to show how seriously they took it. So, I mean, they gave him a month off. Whereas the Storm Boys have like what, a 1-game ban? Theirs was caught
1 game each.
And theirs was caught on camera, which actually affects the game reputation.
Munster in particular needed a much harsher punishment, I reckon.
Yeah, he's experienced enough now and a senior figure enough. You know, he's senior enough figure in the game as a whole now, where I think he needs to remember that. Yeah. What can you do? Where are we? So,
and last but not least, our early ladder prediction for 2022.
I don't think they make the 8, but I don't think they're wooden spooners either.
No, I'm pretty much predicting them to be exactly what I predicted them for this year. So I've got them finishing. Obviously, this is very much a chance of changing as more signings happen over the off season and other clubs.
With the information we currently have.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. I've got them finishing 12th. Obviously, they've got a lot of great signings, Burton, Adokar, etc., but they're still missing that halfback, or that halfback who knows what they're doing, and they're still missing that hooker.
Yeah, they don't have a game managing half because Burton isn't doing that. He's shown that when he's with us, he hasn't really been a game manager. He's good when he can just get the ball in his hands and just do his thing. And yeah, hooker. So that pretty much mirrors my thoughts. So yeah, I'm gonna tip them for sort of a year like I guess had this year, a year around that, like maybe somewhere around 10 to 13, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe,
fair enough.
somewhere in that sort of just outside the 8. They'll get a few good wins, I think. I think they'll look better
Potentially
than
in the for and against battle too.
Yeah, so for and against will decide a few things, like teams like the Storm, for example, might put on a big points against them. Stuff like that will affect.
Yeah, that might be what costs them.
Yeah, they might cost them an extra spot or two on the ladder or whatever, which always happens down in that area. So, yeah. I do think they'll be a bit better, but too many holes for my liking, which is a shame. But I don't know. To be fair, there's not a lot on offer, especially as far as hookers go. That's probably one of the weakest spots in the comp at the moment. Probably name maybe 2 or 3 across the comp who are genuinely the one, if you were going to try and win a comp, the ones you'd want. Like you'd probably say Appy, Cook, maybe one of the Brayley boys. But you'd have to put them in a genuinely good team. I don't know. It's actually not a very strong position across the comp at the moment. All right.
Moving on to 15th.
The North Queensland Cowboys. Who completely surprised me. I did think that would be. I actually tipped them to have a worse year than the Bulldogs, I think.
I tipped
I can't remember
them. Yeah, I was the same. I predicted them for 14. I honestly wasn't really sure what to make of the Cowboys. They didn't have a lot change between 2020 and this year, so I was kind of like, how are they actually going to go? And obviously, there was talk about the positional change. Not the positional change, but the talking about changing the way they were using Taumalolo, and I really didn't think that would work.
Yeah. It was,
so
it was hard to get a read on.
And wasn't too far off. Reckon I deserve a point for one position off my prediction.
Yeah. It's. I don't know. They were so hard to get a read on because I think they got a bit of credit because obviously Coach had across from
Peyton.
Warriors, where he'd done a good job there. Like he ended quite well there.
Yeah, they only just barely missed the finals.
Everyone was like, "Oh." Everyone thought. I don't think I've seen too many people were down on that decision to get Peyton to come across, and then it was their roster that really worried me because individually they all look really good, but it just felt like something was missing. I had that feeling I just can't quite put my finger on it all off season. I'm like, something's not right. Like you've got like Val Holmes, for example, where he's like, is he a winger? Is he a fullback? Oh my God, what's his best position? Stuff like that where it's like, what are they doing with their...
Yeah, they swapped Tabuai Fido and Val Holmes around a hell of a lot, and I really think that messed with the
like there wasn't any
way their side gelled.
There wasn't. They don't have.
I think some of it was forced because of injury, but
but they didn't have that roster cohesion. Like even Taumalolo changed through the year, and granted we didn't know it at the time that was going to happen, but it's just I think they'll be better for an off season now. Val Holmes just needed to get the New York Jets stench off of him, and then things should fall into place.
Ouch.
Shots fired.
That is a low blow. Absolute low blow.
Oh, we loved every minute of it. That's good. Oh my god. I do wonder how much that affected him though, because before he went off, he was pretty highly rated in the NRL. I wonder how much of that affected his game.
Yeah. How long did he have between coming back from playing in the NFL to playing in the NRL again?
I'm not sure. Put my head.
I don't remember what year he was over there. Was it 19?
Yeah, I think he's had what 2 seasons now. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Hayne did the same thing. He came back and I think he had sort of his first game back. He looked good, and then he just from there was a bit average.
Yeah, but he came back midway through the season in 2018, I think.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't exactly under the rules of can't be signed from such and such a date because he wasn't an NRL contracted player at the time. Because he was an outsider, technically, I think they were able to let him sign for the Titans.
Dominic, Cowboys fans should be lucky Val didn't go to the Patriots before Brady left. Chiefs, Ravens, or Bills, otherwise he'd still be here. Really? So you think he would have been good enough to actually lock down a spot?
Because we didn't see too much in the news about how he was going over there.
Yeah, like I didn't hear too much news, so more a question of ignorance, born from ignorance rather than doubting.
Yeah, I thought it was like whatever he was doing over there for the most part was kept rather quiet.
Yeah, he's our information source on the NFL who we drive nuts with questions constantly. His brain's probably exploded by now. At least
we
once.
make no apologies for the questions we asked yesterday, Dominic. Absolutely no apologies whatsoever.
Be prepared for many more.
my brain melted trying to process things, so I had to try and get some clarification.
Like, what's going on here?
How does this work? All right, so the Cowboys highlight.
The only moment that really stands out to me is Val Holmes' 40-meter field goal. That was pretty sweet. That was a good little moment. But
it was a nice little strike.
But overall, I think they were pretty consistent at their level all year, which is I think why they ended up where they did. I can't think of anything that stood out too much. Maybe that game against you guys, as much as this is gonna hurt. I think they probably played their best game that game. They just happened to go down and play their best game against you guys that week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just.
I believe it or not, that's the game I've pinpointed.
Yeah.
As their highlight.
Like they genuinely played well that game. Like that was. I don't think I.
They scored, I think, in the 3rd minute, and we were on the back foot for that entire first half, and.
Yeah, which is what
we
won
tried
the
to
game.
bring it back. Yeah, we tried to bring it back and almost did, but one try that got disallowed that maybe was questionable was kind of the nail in the coffin for the Tigers. So they held us off. They got their first win of the season, and they broke their Tigers at Leichhardt hoodoo.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's always fun to see those little hoodoo things happen. Like this year, we've got the 50-point loss is still a thing in the NRL. Thank God.
To be honest, I kind of wish the Rabbits won just to get that stat fucked off, because I can't stand it.
See, the problem is then you've got the no coach has won a grand final after coaching 300 games in the NRL. So then that stat, like you'd hear about that every week until bloody Ivan Cleary won a grand final or retired. So I'm glad that it's gone, so we can stop hearing about it now. And like the comparisons to Brian Smith.
Don't worry, the Tigers will concede 50 in round 1 next year, and
then win the comp.
win the comp.
Stop hearing about it.
Just to get rid of Scott Bailey's post every time it happens.
Oh my god, it is one of those ones you get sick of hearing, but also I don't know, kind of fun as well. Especially this year with the Rabbitohs getting it, because when they conceded those 50 points, they weren't the full strength. The Storm game particularly, they were missing half their team. You go back and look at that roster, holy crap, it was terrible. But that's why.
How much of the team were they missing when you guys put 50 on them?
Let's have a
2 weeks later.
So make sure the Souths are not the Eels. Because a rabbit and an eel look quite similar.
Oh, absolutely.
Almost identical. So their team list for the Storm game, at fullback was Cody Walker. The wingers were Alex Johnson and Dane Gagai. Their centers were Stephen Masters and Braden Burns. Already there, you're like, wait, what? Hang on,
2 very young centers and an actual center playing on the wing.
Yeah, and they're 5'8" playing at fullback. Oh, Dominic, yeah, because the Jets are, as of now, an incompetent run team. The teams I mentioned are title contenders who would have known how to use him. Also, no apologies necessary. No apologies necessary. Yet.
We may not be done yet.
We haven't even made it to the playoffs yet. Aha, and I said playoffs, not finals. Getting better.
Learning.
Can be taught. That was because obviously coming from us, we call it finals. So I keep saying finals, and he'd be like, "Oh, we call it playoffs." And it's like it took a while to sink in.
You American fools!
Do it right.
Get it right for a change. Come on.
And then, yeah, their halves were Dean Hawkins and Benji Marshall.
Benji, fair enough, but who the hell is Dean Hawkins?
Let's have a look. So, yeah, he's played all of 3 games, and that was probably his debut game. But I'm not sure. I can't remember. But, yeah, 3 game, 5'8" with your 5'8" at fullback and your starting half.
What an epic career it's been. He's played 3 games.
Like,
and one of them he conceded 50 points.
Yeah, like, so... You know, and no offense to Benji, but Adam Reynolds is better at this point of their respective careers. Like Benji has been good.
Considering Benji's career is now officially done.
Yeah, well, let's say at that point of their careers, Benji now, his stats probably aren't going to look too good being retired. So to be fair, now every week at the competition from here on out, Benji is going to have no errors, no missed tackles. About it, that's pretty good stuff.
The master plan.
But no, like it's not like Rabbits fans are like falling over themselves with excitement for that halves pairing. I think you definitely want Adam Reynolds there. Like he's much better at that point in time than Benji is. Benji was great off the bench. I think, he
was the 14 they needed, and a big part of why they did as well as they did.
Yeah, like because that being able to inject someone like that for 10, 15 minutes a game is actually pretty huge. Like a massive advantage.
Oh, absolutely.
Like how many teams can boast a utility like that? Like look at Penrith with the absolute pelican Tyrone May. Fuck. Like
nice choice of insult. I like it.
Well, I called him a potato on Reddit, and then I had to apologize because potatoes are amazing.
Potatoes are life. Potatoes are life.
Exactly. I'm sorry, potatoes. I didn't mean it. You're amazing. You bring so much joy to the world. But like, seriously, oh my god, for all his bragging, and he isn't even a good football player.
Not even close to a good football player.
It's like... at least Benji coming on off the bench, like, man, he had some great touches this year. I think it was against the Titans, and he put on an absolute masterclass. Won the game. Like, wow, Benji still got them skills.
Yeah, I remember that game against the Titans. Anyway, we're getting a little off topic here.
Which is going to happen. That's just how it works. It's more fun conversation. Their forwards were Burgess, Ola, and then Cook at hooker. And then at the back row, Alamatangi, Stua, Arrow. So their forwards weren't too bad, but again, you're missing one of your best players, if not your best player and best forward lock in Cameron Murray. Also,
and their backs were like five jigsaw puzzle pieces that don't fit together, but you try and force them to.
Yeah, like there's a reason defensively they were bad, and it's because of the roster, not because it's entirely a roster problem. They're like Cameron Murray, like in the grand final, he had 51 tackles, 0 missed. So you take that out of the team, and there's your 50 points just there on its own. Like, who's making up his defensive work? Like, it's insane.
Pretty much.
Like, that is, if for a losing team, he's up there with one of the best on the field in the grand final. Insanely good looking too. Completely unfair. That's probably why he's so good defensively. Like, opposition players go to run past him and they just get bamboozled,
blinded,
like by the good looks, and they're like, "Holy crap!" And then bam, he smashes them. Like, damn, I'll have to remember that next time. And then it happens again because you can't help it. And yeah, their bench: Mark Nichols, Liam Knight, Patrick Margot, Jed Cartwright. So yeah, it's not like the worst ever. Like, I've seen worse benches than that, but at the same time, like, against the Storm, that's not going to cut it. Ame Sele, 18th man. So that's why they put the 50 points on. That's why I don't think that game counted. I've said it. I said it before. I don't think that game counts because we're almost playing as a different team. That's not the Souths who rocked up. That's not South Sydney. Have a look at their roster versus us. Round 11. This is the home game that they took to Dubbo, and we've got players who from Dubbo. Good choice, fools. Like, you walked right into our trap. Matt Burton got a hat-trick in his hometown because you took your home game there against us. Like,
maybe they didn't get a choice of which team they played there.
Yeah, my guess is they probably picked the round. Like, yep, this is our home game. I'm going to take it there, and then the draw.
Or like
comes out.
picked what point of the season? Like, if they wanted early season, mid season, late season.
Sure. Double check it.
Because like with the Tigers and their home game at Tamworth as well, I don't know what sort of say they have in when or who.
Yeah, I thought so. Isaiah Yeo is also from Dubbo, so we had two players. It's their hometown.
You've also got Charlie Staines, who's not from Dubbo, but from the same general area.
Yeah, so it kind of works in our favour because there's going to be a Penrith bias from that sort of area. We played our trap card, which is probably worth 20 points on its own. Yeah,
2,000 life points.
Exactly. So yeah, their roster against us, so that was fullback Latrell Mitchell, Alex Johnson, and Josh Mansour on the wings. Guy and Campbell. But they had more that was closer to a full, and then halves Walker Reynolds. So they were closer to full strength, their back line against us. Forwards, Burgess, Cook, Tola, Kalmatangi, Sua, Knight. And then their bench, Marshall, Nichols, Arrow, Cartwright. So really, the main one, they were mostly full strength, but missing Cameron Murray, which actually goes to show what I was saying before about like his defensive workload. It really goes to show the difference he makes. Like 56-12, 50 like nil or whatever.
And you
then,
look at the difference when they played you guys the second time and then the third
Yeah.
time.
like, even though we beat them second time we played them, it's 25-12.
They came back and beat you in the qualifying final.
And the difference there, they have Cameron Murray. Like, he is huge for their defense. He makes massive amounts of tackles. Player stats. Rabbitohs. That we got. Here. Defense. The 74 run meters. It's not like he's like destroying teams with his running meters forward. The defensive stats. Here we go. Tackle efficiency 96.5. Tackles made 55. His tackles 2. So like that's entirely them, the middle of the field. He just locks it up. Consistently making 50 tackles a game. With very, very few misses somehow. Because he's like amazing.
Yeah, when you've got that player who does that role.
Yeah.
An absolute defensive wall in the middle.
So I think them conceding 50 was massively, it was huge. What I'm looking for here. It was almost like an illusion. That makes sense. It's like it's a bit of an easy trap to fall into. It's like no, don't fall for it.
Yeah, just things just went a little bit wrong.
Yes.
And it showed.
Yes. Yeah, so anyway, we've gone way off topic.
Just
Damn
a
you,
tad.
Cameron Murray. Why do you have to be so cool? Just get my head and then I just get all bamboozled.
He your man crush, is he?
Oh, I love Cameron Murray. He's definitely up there.
I know you're married and all, but it sounds like you've got a bit of a man crush.
Oh, my wife understands. She understands. you just say, well, it's Cameron Murray. And she's like, oh, okay. That makes sense. Okay. But yeah, like he's up there with one of my favorites in the comp. He's amazing. All right. So we've got Cows highlight of their season, their low light of the season. So the highlight of the season, obviously we agreed the game versus you guys.
Sadly so, yes.
I honestly can't pinpoint a specific. I think they were consistently pretty awkward, pretty low all season. I think it's just generally the year.
Well, it's really funny actually because they actually I'm going to check this one particular fact on the ladder after a certain round. And so they had a really bad loss to Manly in round 14. I think it was like 50 to something.
Oh, it was like a home game?
No, that would have been an away one because their home game was against Manly was the one later in the season where Turbo pulled off that ridiculous try. That one, that after the siren try, that was the home game for the Cowboys. Actually,
yeah.
was it? Oh, maybe I don't even actually know. Maybe they played. Maybe they faced off both times up there.
The last game of the season, round 25, Queensland, Country-Bank Stadium, 46-18. So you were right.
Okay, here it is.
Yeah, earlier in the season, Four Pines Park, Sydney, 50-18. And I remember that because that was around the Origin time. New South Wales beat Queensland at North Queensland. And after this game, I made the joke, one of my most highly rated comments on Reddit, that DCE just can't stop fucking North Queensland over. Because he played for Queensland in North Queensland, they lost. and then he goes and plays North Queensland Cowboys and smashes the shit out of them. Plays a good game.
Yep, I found the thing that I was thinking of, and I was right. So
That's why I said you were
after
right.
after that bye in round 13, the Cowboys actually, did they have a bye in round 13? Yeah, they did. They had a bye in round 13. With that bye, they were up in 7th on the ladder. They had started off with their 4-0 record, and they ended up getting it back to 6-6 to be 7th on the ladder. They then had that loss to Manly in round 14 where they got absolutely walloped.
Yeah.
And then they continued a losing streak that lasted until round 23.
Yeah.
So like all of the hard work they did to get back to
Yeah.
6-6 was undone by that loss to Manly that started a horrific losing run. So that's kind of what I've
Yeah.
pinpointed as their low point.
So we'll call it that. We'll agree on that, I think.
Like
their
that's
low
a
point
massive
because,
losing streak.
yeah. Which is what got them to where they were on the ladder. Right,
To only win one game for the rest of the season from that point onward was
club's
pretty
MVP
sad.
for the year for the Cowboys.
I went with Hess. I think what they did with Hess actually worked out all right for them. Not spectacular, but they finished second last, so not much is going to be spectacular.
Yeah. I'll say MSI Tabiao because he looks good. He's just, I think, that backline shifting around a bit, and I think they need to just get him consistent in a position and let him run with it. And I think you'll turn him into a star over time. And he had some good touches, like that try, that chip kick try he scored against you guys. I think that was probably their moment of the season there. That's probably their highlight of the year right there. Guys, really good. They just need to start using him better, I think, especially with his speed. Jesus Christ, he's so good.
I think. Do you think he's more of a fullback or a winger? Because obviously his speed and finishing ability is really good on the wing, but
I'd like to see him get some consistent time at fullback. Like his support
see how
play,
it actually goes.
Yeah, his support play would be really, really lethal. If you get like, especially if like you can get Tamalolo dragging 4 defenders in a tackle and then offloading, like he did it against us. He scored an amazing try, one of the tries of the year. I think it was 2020. We beat them, but man, his try was really awesome. Just backing up the middle off an offload, and like I think that would be really dangerous for them.
Yeah, especially with the wrecking ball that Tamalolo is, and the fact that he has that ability to draw that many defenders, which really makes it hard for the rest of the defensive line to handle an offload if there is one.
Exactly, that's your game-breaking combination there.
Like, what hope have you got handling an offload when 4 of your 13 players are locked on one man, and you've got a potential fullback like Tabuai sniffing around, ready to just rip you apart.
Yeah, exactly, and he's so quick. Even if you are good defensively, he's going to take that half gap and turn it into a try.
As for my choice for rookie, I said they've actually got like a really fun group of rookies coming through the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I included Hamiso in that, and we didn't get to see much of these other two because they only debuted in round 22 against the Tigers. But Tom Gilbert and Jeremiah Nanai both looked pretty good and like they were ready for the big stage of the NRL.
Yeah.
So get more game time into pretty much all 3 of those guys and the other youngsters they had coming through.
Yeah.
In a couple of years' time, they will start looking better.
Yeah. They've got good juniors to pick from. It's just a matter of bringing them through and developing them into first grade. They've never had an issue having talented juniors. We'll see how they go. And we'll just, I'll agree with that. I'm going to say Fido we haven't seen that much of the other guys, but we know they're talented and do a good job. Early thoughts on how they were shaping for 2022?
I'm finding them pretty tough to place next year.
Yeah.
I think they're a legitimate chance of the wooden spoon, unfortunately
Yeah.
for them. I think they're going to be in that 15th to 16th. And as it
Yeah.
stands, I've pretty much got them as my 16th place team because it doesn't look like too much is changing. It
Yeah.
doesn't look like too much is going to really improve. And when you only had one team finish below you who look like they're going to improve quite drastically, it's not exactly good signs for the Cowboys, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'll say the same thing. Hope they do better, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe an off season will do them a bit of good, but yeah, pretty much agree absolutely with that one. But it's just I just can't pick them, honestly. They're one of those teams that are really tough to get a read on, probably the hardest, because they have a lot of really good individual talent. If they get it all to work really well together, well, they can do pretty much anything. But it's a matter of, I guess, the coaching getting their selections right and all that sort of stuff. So we'll see what happens.
They
Moving
could
on.
also completely and utterly surprise us both and make it back to the finals again. Like they're one of those teams.
Like I hope they do. Hope the best
Not at
for
the expense
everybody,
of the
but
Tigers, of course.
yeah.
I mean, if they have to make it back to the finals at the expense of the Tigers, then no fucking thank you. But otherwise, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. No one wants that to happen, for their own team, but like it's just one of those things. Like I wish them well. It just I don't see it happening. That's entirely based on this year. There's nothing saying an off season won't improve them or anything. Like our next team, we're going to talk about who look actually quite promising. Who I actually would say are my most promising team going from one year to the next, which is the Broncos.
Well, I predicted them. I wasn't going to say this before because I didn't want to spoil it, but I actually predicted the Cowboys and the Broncos in opposite positions to where they finished. I had the Broncos 15th and the Cowboys 14th, and that
Close.
Broncos round 25 win stuffed that up for me. Bloody Broncos.
I got away with it if it wasn't for those meddling Broncos. I can't remember how I tipped them now. I've forgotten completely how I tipped them earlier this year. I think they're one of those teams I thought they'd do better than they did the previous year, but again,
Well, when you finish off, the only way to go is up.
exactly. So they made that part a bit easier, but I did have a lot of faith in their forward pack. It's their spine that really was holding them back in my mind. But if they were to improve, it was going to be on the back of their forwards, guys like Payne Haas and that. Like he's absolutely amazing. Right? They can't waste him. They've got to really fix that up. But then Icon came across, and Evolution is in full swing.
Yeah, I basically said 15th because I thought they'd improve a little bit on how they went last year. They couldn't have gotten much worse since they only got 3 wins in 20 rounds, and only one of those wins came after the COVID restart of the competition.
Yeah.
So I didn't think they could go any worse. So I really did think they would improve enough to get over the top of the team that I had predicted for last, which we will get to in a future episode. But I thought the experience that young group got in 2020 would lead them in a good, positive direction for this year. I didn't expect too much too quickly, but I did think there would be some improvement there. Like,
I'm keen to hear the next one. What was the highlight of their season?
I had the comeback win over the Titans in round 8. That they got off to such a shit start, but to win it in the fashion they did, showed a lot of the character that young group had.
Yeah.
And How far behind were they at halftime? Hang on, let me check this.
It was like 20 something points. While you're looking it up, I'm going to say mine. Mine was their game against us. They played like
you mean both of them?
Especially the first one, because they played like a top 4 team. If they played like they did all year, that first game against us, then you have yourself a top 4 team. They would have played finals guaranteed, and they would have been pushing up around that 4th spot where Manly and the Roosters and the Eels were sort of all fighting for in that spot up there. They didn't get it consistently, sure, but that game was ridiculously good from them. We haven't seen them play like that for a while. And the score only blew out to 8 points because of a late try. I mean, we won it on Cleary's 2-point field goal. We just happened to get a late try to blow out the score, but it was a lot closer than that score, I'm predicting.
Yeah, for sure. They also had that really, really, really bloody good win over the Roosters.
Yeah.
Which to me was a very close second.
Yeah.
So as for this comeback win, it was 22-0 after 15 minutes.
Yeah. Like I was legitimately saying to the wife during that game, like, the Titans may beat the clock here. It was looking.
I think I said the same thing to you in the Discord DMs.
Very possible.
I said this. I think I remember saying to you at that point of that game that this could get horrifically ugly.
Yeah, it was looking bad. It was horrible, and then to see it flip was insane. It was mind blowing. Like for me, that's a close second for the moments because it takes mental fortitude to do that. Like it showed they were capable of like mentally getting into it and going with it. But I
think it actually ended up being 22-all at halftime.
Yeah. But just the one against us, I think the consistency across the 80 minutes does it for me because what they did in that game is what they need to be doing regularly. Like you can't be letting yourself get behind by 20 and then coming back. Like it's good. It's fucking amazing, but that consistency in the game against us is what does it for me.
Yeah, just ask Anthony Griffin and the 2018 Panthers.
Oh my god. Comebacks. It's like, oh, the game plan's not working. Quick, we need someone to pull out some individual brilliance from their butt. Oh, here, Matt Moylan, what can you do for us? Oh, what's that? 2 tries in 2 minutes?
Thanks.
That Raiders game was insane. Like, I still can't believe what's happened to Matt Moylan since. Like that was. Oh, I'll never forget that game. But yeah, so that's what does it for me for them. Low light of the season. Are
you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I think I might have lost you there for a minute.
Yeah, it might have. You know, love that technology. We make the jokes all the time, but it's like that. It'll just randomly do.
It'll just go.
It'll just things will happen, and you're like, "What's going on?" Low point of the season.
What was yours?
For me, I'm probably gonna say 42-24, round 18. You might recognize the team they played. Like, no offense to Tigers, but they had a bit of a dodgy year this year, and
just a bit.
I think the Broncos to concede 40 is not good enough. I think they have the forward pack over you easily,
especially when they were leading at halftime.
Yeah, like it just shouldn't have happened that way. But
they scored a very questionable try to lead at halftime, but they did lead at halftime,
but even still, like you've got
ended up getting smoked.
Yeah, you've got the scoreboard pressure. You've got the forward pack to do the job, and so to concede 40 by the end of that, I think is that it shows it's the perfect demonstration of their inconsistency, which has led them to spoon.
Yeah,
the mental fortitude that they don't have. It's like the exact opposite of their game against us, or the Titans. It's like, yeah, that's mine. What would you say?
well, going back to that amazing win they had over the Roosters in round 11,
Yeah,
that really showed what that team was capable of, as well as that comeback against the Titans.
yeah,
But after that, they backed it up with these 4 results: losing 40-12 to the Storm, losing 52-24 to the Dragons.
that was another horrible game. I could have picked that game for mine. Overall, it was probably worse, but like you said, in your game, they were leading. They just died in the arse, which is, I think, makes it worse. Whereas in this game, they were bad all game, but off topic.
Then they lost 38-16 to the Raiders, and then 46-0 to the Rabbits.
Yeah.
So
very similar to the Cowboys one.
Yeah, one awful loss started a bit of a cavalcade of poor form, and that was the point where their season ended, because they could never recover from those 4 losses.
And then they had the bye, and then they went into the game against you. So really, we're sort of picking the same spot. It's like that period of time there. They had that loss against good win, and then the loss to the Storm, and then their mentality just dropped away.
Well, they also won a really good hard fought upset against the Sharks before the bye. So like they had that 4-game losing run, but on either side of that run,
the problem was they
wins.
couldn't. It's weird. It's like, which I think makes that game against you worse, because it's like they'd almost fixed the problem. Had a good win against the Sharks, went into you, were leading at half time, and then it's like something happened. It's like they couldn't maintain it, which I think makes it even worse.
Sort of.
It's like they finally had the chance to build, and then something happened and it just died. And it's like, what the hell are you doing?
It was sort of like when we played them last year, 2020 as well, because before that game against us, they had that win where they finally broke the losing run against the Bulldogs. Granted, it was the Bulldogs and all that jazz, but that was the point where everyone started to say, okay, so the Broncos might have found their groove. They might be coming back. And Tigers fans were legitimately nervous going into that game at Leichhardt Oval.
And then you smashed
because we
them.
thought, okay, the Broncos have found their groove. This could be a very tough game.
Yeah.
Before proceeding to win 48-0.
And they looked horrible doing it too. Like, it was crazy how bad the Broncos looked in that game against you. And that's what I mean.
The worst thing for them was the injury. I'm trying to remember who the injury was. Yeah. Was it Oates? Might have been Oates.
But yeah, which I think makes that game against you guys even worse, because it's like, just as they're starting to build, it's like, and it's the Sharks.
Square one.
They beat the Sharks, who played finals the last couple of years, even though they scraped in. It's like, and it's like, they couldn't maintain it. It's like the mentality just dropped off and died in the ass. So
and the Sharks losing that game, that exact game to the Broncos, is pretty much the one that cost them their season.
Yep.
Cost them finals.
Which players was the club's MVP in your opinion? I suspect we're going to agree on this.
How can you go past Payne Haas? How can you go past Payne Haas? There, I got my words mixed up a bit there.
Like, literally and figuratively, it's impossible.
Exactly. That's my point exactly.
Like, in terms of this discussion, like he was their best easily all year. Like, the guy is an absolute beast, and the fact that they have him is, they need to start winning, so he wants to stay there. Like, you have to keep him at all costs. Like, without him, I'd hate to see what happened to him, because he's almost best on ground in all their games. Almost.
Yeah, even that round 25 game that they lost to the Knights,
Yeah.
where he went off injured, he was probably close to best on ground for them in that game too.
It's like even in a badly losing team getting the spoon, he's still one of the best on ground every week. It's crazy. So, and then obviously, literally, you can't go past him because he's just too big. Good luck getting around that guy. It's so yeah, saw that coming. Promising rookie. Interesting because they've got a few.
I could not pick a standout. What I said is they've basically got a really good core group of young rookies. If they can keep most of them together, their future is going to look pretty bloody bright, but it's still probably maybe 2 years off.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
I see 2022 being their final development year.
Yeah.
Before they start being able to climb back up the ladder in 2023.
Yeah. I like the guy who was playing fullback a bit there. He looks a bit raw, but I think there's a lot of potential there if they can keep developing him. He had some really good moments, but early thoughts on how they're shaping for 2022. This is going to be the tough one.
I've got them going up to 13th. I know Adam Reynolds is a massive signing for them.
Yeah, I think.
But I'm not.
Sorry. No, you go. You're not.
I'm not really convinced on how well he might gel with that group of young players compared to what he had going with the Rabbits. He was obviously there at the Rabbits for a long time and really got to know the systems there and what was expected. Obviously, he's going to come in and be a leader for this young team, but how well is he going to be able to gel? How quickly is it going to happen?
Yeah.
How long might it take? I just don't see the improvement being there drastically in 2022. I see it more coming in 2023.
Yeah.
So I've got them up to 13th.
I'm not going to have the guts to say they'll make the 8, but I do have a little bit more faith in their improvement than what you've said there, I think. And part of it might be just I rate Adam Reynolds as a game managing halfback. I think such a good game managing halfback behind such a good forward pack. I think they're going to be one of those teams where they will lose games but they will keep building over the next probably 2 years. But they're going to be one of those teams where teams are going to have to watch out, or they will sneak in under you and sort of get those ambush wins.
Like they did to the Roosters this year.
I think like they did to the Roosters in that game where they could kind of caught everyone off guard. I think they're going to have a lot of that happen if teams go in mentally not prepared for it.
And the funny thing was they almost did it to the Roosters a second time, but there was that really dodgy call late in that second game against them that crippled them.
I almost won't go into that one. I was really annoyed at the refereeing in that game, but
but Justin was too.
I think bringing in a genuine game managing halfback is huge. They're one of the teams where bringing that in is going to be massive for them. I just can't say how good that's going to be for them because they have the forward pack to win games. They took it to our forward pack, which is one of the best this year. And did what they did. Like their big issue is their halves. I think they had the most combinations they went through this year out of any club in the comp.
I think so.
So having a 7 who is going to play every week and is one of the best in the comp, especially his kicking game, just that on its own, being able to have a long in-play kicking game like his, which your forwards can play off the back of, is going to be ridiculous. And so I think they're a danger team this year where we might not pick them for the 8, but teams are going to have to be careful or they're gonna win.
Their forwards are going to have to step up and give Reynolds
but that's been
their strength. Reynolds to do what he does best.
Yeah, but that's been their strength this year, which is why it concerns me so much as an opposition supporter, because their forward pack is the one good thing they've had consistently, even when not winning. So putting Reynolds in there is just, yeah. And guys like Staggs and that'll be back from injury, and I don't know.
I think they might be without Pass for a while. I don't remember exactly how bad his injury was, but I think it might keep him out in the early rounds of the season.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll get him back quickly. But yeah, so it's a case of beware the Broncos.
I'll try to look that up actually. Where are the injury list articles? NRL app, if you would please be so kind. No, that's late mail. That's not going to do it for me.
Yeah, it's fun getting hold of. I need to pay more attention to NRL Physio. He's pretty good at these things.
Yeah, I do pay pretty good attention to him. If you
So
want
syndesmosis surgery, coming days. Payne will be back in full training by December, so he should be back fine.
Okay, okay.
He'll be back. So, but judging by this was 7th of September 2021.
Wasn't as bad as what I thought I had read then.
So it's syndesmosis, which is the same thing Brian To'o had, and he came back and won a grand final. So I think usually they say that's 6-8 weeks around there, if I remember correctly. So yeah, he'll be back training by December, which means he'll be back round 1.
Okay, not as bad as I had.
Not as bad as I thought. So yeah, back to what I said. Beware the Broncos, because they think if teams are careful and play properly, you can beat them. Just got to watch out for the ambush, because their forward pack will play really well, and then Reynolds on the back of that be a huge improvement.
Yeah, but if their forward pack has an off game at all, they will get steamrolled.
Yeah, which I think
because
applies.
Reynolds won't be able to do much.
Yeah, but I think that applies to every team in the comp. Honestly, that's just the game of rugby league. If your forward pack doesn't step up, your halves are kind of stuffed. I mean, you can say that.
Good bloody luck to you.
Yeah, it's the way the game plays, you know. So, on to our last team of the day. Maybe we won't mention them by name, just so there's no hurt feelings.
Just check out this fancy new logo instead.
Yeah, look at the new logo. I will admit, I know I've seen it's criticized a bit, but I like it. Like, you don't have to do much. You've already got your identity there. It's just streamlined a little bit. I think it'll work well on the on now that it's been streamlined. It'll work well on like merchandise and stuff. You can kind of adapt it to a bit better to everything.
I agree. Like, the font looks really good as well. The fact that it's the same font for both words.
Yeah, so depending on what you use it on, you can pretty much use it on anything you want. Adapt it how you want.
Like, you can compare that to the shadowy one down the bottom of the layout. The face, you can see there's a lot less detail.
Yeah.
Like black. There's a lot less black in that white section on the cheeks.
Yeah.
And the claws and the nose look a little bit streamlined. I like the chain. I like the change
Dominic
to the eyes.
Just said Cincinnati called they want their 1979 logo back.
Oh. I also like the change to the eyes. He looks angrier, which I think, and I'm maybe being a little bit optimistic here, but I hope looking makes it, the angrier look makes it look like he's hungry.
Yes.
And that would kind of, you know, if the logo is hungry, then hopefully the team will be hungry on the field.
Yeah. And the cool little thing is, if you look at that,
they certainly won't this year.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, if you look at that, the white bit where you were talking about there, it actually looks like the magpie with these wings.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So they've integrated that the west part of it into it. Let me just pull up the guy's logo. Have a red one. I've seen it around before. Yeah. But yeah, you can find it. The logos often had it just bird there, but if you can find it with the wing spread, that's what that reminds me of.
It's funny. There's been a lot more constructive feedback for the logo on Twitter. Most of what I see on Facebook has been ripping it to shreds.
I've noticed
there was even a petition started to bring back the old logo.
Oh really? That's silly. I think this one's better.
It looks more modern. Like there's no need to be stuck in the past. It just looks more modern than like we're moving on from the past sort of thing. Similar to what the Knights did. Like the Knights, when they changed their logo recently, didn't change much at all. They literally just turned the Knight head facing the other way, so they're looking forward instead of backwards.
Yeah.
Like it's the simple changes.
Yeah. Just 1 second, and I'm gonna try and find that logo that our American friend has informed us about. Yeah, I've noticed there's a big cultural difference between Facebook and Twitter. They're all fans. That makes sense. Very different.
I'll send you some of the. Throughout the week, I'll look through Facebook and see the worst or the most interesting comments about the logo I can find on Facebook and send them through to you in the Tigers groups.
So Dominic, is this the one you're talking about? Hopefully I found the right one. Cincinnati Bengals. I can see the similarities. Bye.
Yeah, okay.
Sort of.
I wonder why they ditched the Tigers head and went with the B.
Yeah. Maybe a more annoying question. Why'd they change it? Drive our American friend nuts. So I can see why he makes the comparison. Yeah, I've just split that up so you'll see it on the stream. Yes. Leave that and we'll go. Alright, so Tigers. Where did we predict them to finish? And this is the part where I see my own humiliation and shame.
Yeah, mine too. I believed. I'll just flat out say it. I believed that with the signings we had made, that we would finally break the hoodoo and play finals footy. I knew it'd be close. I expected us to finish 8th. I expected it to be a for and against battle, or if we were lucky, we'd get in by a win. And I knew it would be close, but I honestly I had hope. I had, call it false hope in the end.
Yeah. No, I thought.
But it's my own team, so it's hard to. I know a lot of people kind of felt the same, but there were also a lot of pessimists about how we were going to go this year.
Yeah. Okay, so he's put it in the Discord. It was a cutesy. I'll save it. I'll see if we can get it up on the stream. But no, I did the same thing. I was like looking at the signings they made, particularly Tamo for me was the one that stood out. He came from us. All the talk was
he was your captain.
Yeah, like the talk was that his leadership from us essentially.
We'd have that leadership that he had with you guys, and that would help really improve the young group that we had building.
Yeah, like that's what you guys have a young forward pack. We were told that he was good for us, so
And we saw that on-field leadership in the trial against Manly. Like he showed his leadership, not potential, but like capabilities in that trial against Manly when he was both on the field and after he'd been taken off, like talking to the boys from the sideline. And for the most part, we just didn't get it consistently.
During the regular season, we didn't see it. It was ridiculous. He was playing like 40 or so minutes, averaging like 30 meters a game or something, and he didn't didn't look like he was really talking too much. I don't know. It was a complete difference to what we expected.
There were some games where he didn't come off the bench after going
on the stream as well,
the bench for the first time.
You'll see the image up on the stream that he was talking about. I can see what he's saying. It looks kind of cutesy. But yes, back to Tamo, he was what I hinged my tip on. I thought he would bring that leadership that you guys were missing, and it didn't happen. So he's going to have to pull his finger out his ass and actually step up. It's, Dewey was the one who seemed to do it in the end.
He took the leadership reins,
which I said earlier in the year to your mates over on the Tigers podcast on Twitter. I said he needs to be made captain for next year.
For sure.
Like he seems to have the willingness to talk. He's going to play in the spine. He has the right attitude,
But yeah, like I was saying, there were some games as well where he didn't come back onto the field after he went to the bench after his first.
Well, it goes to show the coach.
That Cowboys game was one of them.
Yeah. Well, it goes to show the coach saw what we were seeing. It's plain as day, plain as nose on your face. He simply wasn't good enough, and I think he's professional enough. Probably admitted himself, surely.
I'm pretty sure he has.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen it somewhere. Like it's not attacking him. It's not insulting him. It's just his year wasn't as good as it should have been, and he didn't bring the attributes that everyone thought he would.
I think he had a post-season interview where he pretty much admitted that he wasn't the leader that he needed to be, and he's going to go away over this off-season and look at what he can do next year to be a better leader.
Yeah.
And I think I remember him also saying to the rest of the boys, and I think it was in the chat that he had with what's his face from 9 that we looked at a few weeks ago when we were talking about the match thing. He said it towards the end of that his message to the boys was come back ready because we're going to be ripping it.
Yeah.
And if he's going to be a better leader, then he needs to 100% get his shit together.
Yeah. What was your highlight of the season? I think I can guess, but we'll see.
Round 12. 13, I mean. Round 13.
They play that week.
I'll give you a clue. It starts with Pert and ends in Anthers.
Cowboys. I was close.
Honestly, my reason why was because for a lot of games this year, the Tigers did nothing but make mistake after mistake after mistake, and they were never able to defend the mistakes they made. That was the one game where they made mistakes, but they defended the hell out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys had a lot of players missing, which made it a little bit easier, but the commitment was there, the determination was there. They really wanted to make up for the round 5 Leichhardt horror show that we all endured.
Yeah.
And they came out onto Leichhardt really with a mission, executed it, and gave the fans something to cheer about after a win the week before, which I think was the other pleasing thing, was it was backing up a win. They got another one.
Yeah. Well, probably we haven't actually discussed this beforehand, but that's almost word for word what I would say, especially defensively. I know Penrith were missing players, but they still had a lot of chances. And they had we had Matt Burton in the halves, who sees himself as an NRL starting half, and has been hired as such next year. The Dogs.
And he was the one try scorer for you guys that game.
Like, I think that defense for the Tigers stood out to me as well. Like, the attitude that they had in defense, whatever the result was, ignoring that, it's just that you could see they wanted it. And I've said it before, even on streams, where it's like they can't feed off that emotion for a 25-round season.
Yep.
On wanting to beat Penrith and Ivan.
Yeah.
Because you could see it in that game. They were so determined. It was so, like, their line speed was great. They were sticking tackles, and it's like, and then you go to, like, there was the Manly game, I remember, and they were letting players just run through them. You'd have 2-on-1 tackles, and the player would just walk through them practically. And it's like, and it's they say defense is attitude mostly, and they had it there. I'm like, and it's the same in the South game as well, where you went to Golden Point, and it's
they
like
needed it a lot more.
Yeah, it's like you've got it there, and that's why I picked the exact same game, because it's like you could see it if they defended like that for the entire year. Again, it's like, you know, the way Broncos played against us. It's like they showed that they could do it. It's just they couldn't hold on to it consistently.
Exactly, and that's the not so joys of being a Tigers fan.
Yeah, it's why I think you've never won a spoon. It's like you're the best at being
inconsistent.
Yeah, you could have been great and also really crap, and it's like you somehow float in that middle of the table constantly. So, what was the low light of the season?
I've said pretty much similar to what happened with the Broncos. Like the Broncos backed up that really good win against the Roosters with a horror run. The Tigers did much the same. We backed up those wins over the Dragons and Panthers in rounds 12 and 13 before getting absolutely humbled the following 3 weeks by the Eels, the Storm, and the Rabbits.
Yeah.
So that was when Tigers fans had started to lose hope, and I think all Tigers fans that had hope had it completely dashed when Laurie got injured in round 20.
Well, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think if it's not for Laurie getting injured, I think you scrape into 8th. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I feel like maybe. I mean, we would have won that game against the Warriors. We may have won that game against the Sharks. But I think we still would have needed one more win in that final little section of games to get us over the line.
Yeah.
Considering we got 2 wins in that last little section against the Dogs and the Cowboys. Maybe it would have been that final round game against the Dogs where we would have had to win it potentially to be in.
Like, I think there's those that end of year I think goes better than it did with Laurie there. You're probably at least worth 4 points or competition points. Like that Warriors game, look at that 16-18. You know, like
with Laurie and Dewey, I also reckon with the way you guys played in round 24, we could have been a chance at knocking you off as well.
Like, we played absolutely garbage in that game, but you guys just couldn't make anything of it. It's crazy. You could have had that game, and it's like no one wanted to take it.
With Laurie and Dewey, if we had both of them, we may have been a chance.
Now, my low light, I'm saying, is that Cowboys game. Like, I can't go past that. Like, I know you guys have had other moments of the year, I guess you could pick from, but for me, it's like that epitomizes the Tigers at the moment, is when there's emotion, when there's something to play for that is outside of the Ivan thing. They just don't turn up.
It was both of the Tommy Memorial games where they just
like you've got a home game playing for, you know, a big moment, Tommy and everything, and it's like they look like they didn't even turn up to the ground. And that, to me, towards the start of the season, like, yeah, other games they'd lost before that, but that to me just showed that they just weren't there mentally for the season. That's the moment you could pinpoint. You're like, yep, there's the mental attitude there. And it's like,
and like the same thing happened in round 9 against the Titans when the Titans scored 3 tries in the space of 4 or 5 minutes, and one was directly off a kickoff.
Yeah, like it just. There are many games you can pick from, or even periods of seasons over multiple rounds that you can pick from. It's just, I think that one game shows it the best. Is the Tigers' biggest failing is the mental side of the game. The players just aren't showing up with the right attitude. I think that for me just one that exaggerates that point the most individually.
They could never really back up a win with another win. We did it twice. We won 2 games in a row twice. Rounds 12 and 13 and rounds 21 and 22. Our other wins were all individually, and then we ended up getting creamed the following week.
Yeah.
And it's quite well known that the last time the Tigers won 3 or more games in a row hasn't been since 2018.
Yeah, which is crazy.
When they won round 1 and 2, lost controversially in round 3, and then won rounds 4, 5, and 6. That was the last time the Tigers had a 3-game winning streak.
Which isn't good enough. That's ridiculous.
And if you wanted to find the last time they had a 4-game winning streak, I think you're going back to something like 2014 or 2012 or maybe even 2011. They just haven't been able to string wins together, and that's been what's constantly killing them.
Yeah.
They get so hyped up about the one win that they don't look ahead to the next one and think, okay, nose back to the grindstone, let's go again, start again.
Yeah, well, that South game in round 6 is the perfect example. Yeah, the really terrible loss against the Cowboys. They come out against South, and it's almost like you fall into the trap of, oh, maybe they've learnt their lesson and they played a great game. I think they should have won that game. We won't go into that. It's a cranky game, even for me. But you know, you come away with that thinking, all right, they still lost, but they look like they've learnt their lesson.
And then they come out, they score
6.
the first try. Yeah, they score the first try against Manly, but then it's one-way traffic.
And it's like, and then you're like, you just drops. It's like, and that's the problem. Madge, they can play good football. It's just the Madge has to get them switched on for games. All right, which player was the club's MVP in your opinion?
Laurie.
Yep. Easy.
Adam Dewey, very close second, like absolute photo finish.
But Laurie, without a doubt, which is the one saving grace for that jersey thing at the end of the year. I know a lot of people didn't see it as a big deal, but I think with the context of the season, 10 years without finals, having cultural and identity issues, I think it makes the Laurie thing with the jersey at the end of the year worse. And his one saving grace is that he was their player of the year easily. But
yeah, well, he won the award tied with Brooks, which was questionable to say the least. But anyway,
that's just stupid. If I was going
to, I mean, he did miss the last 5 rounds or 6 rounds, including the round he got in.
Like, if he was going to share it with anyone, I would have picked either Stefano or Twal, personally.
I think what ended up happening was, I think what the Tigers coaches do is like a 3-2-1 system, like the Dally M's every week. Okay, Brooks played every round, so he had more chances to win points.
It was a participation award for him, basically.
Or the Homer default. Like, Laurie basically just needed one more game, one more point from the coaches, and he wins it outright. Which, if he didn't get injured, would have happened to say, would have happened for sure.
He would have won by a mile. But yeah, that's an easy one to do. But So I thought so highly of him. I think if he plays, they make the 8th position. That's how highly I thought of his season, how he was playing. He was almost, not quite, but I wouldn't have grudged him getting one Dalian point for that Roosters game you guys got flogged in. He was so good. Promising rookie.
Laurie. Closely followed by Big Stefano.
Yeah, I think those two were definitely amazing to watch come through. But yeah, Laurie easily. Like, I can see why. I know a lot of people criticize letting Komorowski go in hindsight, and hindsight's 2020 and all that, but I think it was a good move, them pushing hard as they did to get Laurie. I think that's probably their one decision. We talk about the club as a whole, how they manage their recruitment and retention and negotiating and all that. I think that was a good thing they did. They actually got one right where they recognized his value and they fought to get him, did what was necessary, and even in a losing season, that's going to do wonders for them because, yeah, injury aside, that was something special.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm looking forward to seeing Stefano continue to grow and develop because he's still a very young guy and he had very minimal experience playing at Para.
Yeah, well, he had one NRL game, which was like 5 minutes worth of playtime or something like that.
I think he played 3 games, but I think he was listed to play 3 games, but played a total of 5 minutes amongst those 3 games or something.
It was not enough to be worth anything. So the Tigers really are the ones who are giving him his NRL experience. So considering that, yeah, he was great. Early thoughts on how they're shaping for 2022.
Sorry, and that experience that he got this year, and the fact that he took that experience and he also got experience with the Blues squad.
Yeah, they brought him into
I think is really going to set him up to really try and improve on this year, next year. So I think he's actually going to shoot up a lot more, and I'm really hoping we get to see him play Origin next year.
Yeah, well, that's up to him, I guess. I mean, he can be your version of Payne Haas. Got it there.
Exactly.
The potential's there. Like, he's a big boy, and he might not play the minutes of Payne Haas, but if he can have that impact for you, because you imagine New South Wales, if he kicks on and we've got like our prop rotation next year will be ridiculous.
Like Payne Haas starts, Stefano off the bench. Stefano comes on to replace Haas.
Yeah.
Queensland are not getting a let up there. They are not getting any sort of let up whatsoever.
No. It's already a bit like that now, but the one thing Queensland have is actually forward. So early thoughts on how they're shaping for 2022. Are you going to be particularly optimistic? What's the thought here from Tigers fans?
Well, from this particular Tigers fan, he's finding it very difficult to be optimistic for next year. I would love to see them make finals and finish 8th or 7th or 1st or whatever. But honestly, I don't. With the signings we've made so far, I don't see it happening. We're going to be missing Dewey early in the season. That's going to set us back at the start. Unless we have a relatively easy start to the draw, then maybe he might be out for like 4 to 6 weeks or something, maybe a little bit longer. Who knows? It's a lot of people out there, you've probably seen it, are predicting the spoon battle between the Tigers and the Cowboys. And I'm trying to not be that defeatist. I think for the most part of the season, we might end up around where we finished this year, so around 13th.
Yeah.
But late in the season, if we still have Dane and Adam, I reckon it'll bump us up a couple positions, and I have us finishing 11th.
Yeah, I can see that. I think, somewhere around that middle of the table again. For and against might shift a few spots, whatever happens. But It'll be a lot like this year. I think, like you said it well with the disruptions, especially with Dewey. But I have a little bit of hope there that because you're bringing Hastings over particularly, but also Peachy's coming. We'll have Dewey for probably 95% of your season,
maybe 80.
Yeah, Laurie will be back. So I think if Tigers fans are willing to say, all right, we will write off the first 3 weeks. Let's say, right, we're willing to write off the first 3 or 4 weeks. I think after that, once you get your full squad back, there is a lot of potential there because Luke Brooks won't have to do it all himself.
A lot also depends on the draw. Like if we have a relatively easy first 3 weeks or first month or whatever, compared to this year where we had a horrible first month.
You might actually hope you have a really tough first month this year because I like I said, I'd be willing to say, right, we'll write off those first couple of weeks with the injuries. And then if you can sort of start getting your groove back, maybe against teams that aren't the Storm, for example, like some of the lower down teams from this year, I think that could play into your favor quite a lot. But I don't know. We'll have to see what the draw's doing. But yeah, I think while Dewey's out, especially if you can have your the tougher games then, I think that works in your favor a lot because then you play some of your easy games later, get your full squad on the park and get them basically gelling with not as tough teams. So you play your Cowboys and your Dragons and all these guys after that first month when you've got your full strength team. I think that would be good for you guys. And then you can even make a play for the 8.
There's always that one early game or early season game that we know we're going to have now, and that's the Easter long weekend against Parramatta. But Easter, I'm pretty sure, is actually considerably later in the year compared to normal next year. I think it's mid-April as opposed to late March or early.
It was round 4 this year.
I'll actually just quickly look it up.
Sunday, 4th of April, so I'm not sure.
Sunday 17th. So, and the season is expected to start Thursday, March 10.
Well, that's
so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's a couple of weeks later, I think.
Looking to be the Easter weekend.
Yeah.
So we'll have probably the Eels in round 6.
You will be closer to having your full strength team by then. Injuries,
hopefully.
Depending. Like, who knows what's going to happen, but hopefully. So yes, I'll pick them the same as you, probably around that end of 13 mark. With the potential to be better, it's so hard to tell with Hastings and that coming across what the difference is going to be. Like, we don't even know where he's going to play. like maybe he'll...
Like, we've got Gildart as well.
Yeah,
but
so...
centres in the UK aren't known for their defence.
Yeah, so it's like...
And we're going to have a new defensive coach because our defensive coach got rightfully sacked.
Yeah, I'd be like, guess what, buddy? Get fucked. Absolutely. Like, that was horrible.
Yeah. There's the fucking door. Take it.
It's like, yeah. Just throw him out. Because we don't really know what's happening with Hastings. He'll probably play half while Dewey's out, and then when Dewey comes back, you would assume Dewey's going to 5'8", unless Madge commits to his thing that he did this year where he had Dewey at centre for a bit there.
No, definitely. Dewey definitely needs to be the 5'8". Yeah,
I don't think that should happen, but if they can't work out what to do with Hastings and stick him at 6 and be at centre, but not that I want that to happen, but I don't know. Off the top of my head, I can't see what unless Hastings plays that utility role off the bench that Mbai was doing this year.
Yeah, because people were thinking he'd be coming over to play lock, but now we've signed Peachy, and he's more of a lock than Hastings will be.
You don't want Peachy playing anything other than lock. Just putting it out there.
He will be the ball-playing lock that we need in a competition that requires it a lot more than it used to.
That's what you need nowadays. And then Twal can go play prop and do his thing and live happily ever after. which will help your forward pack a lot. I think I actually really like that because that'll help your forward pack a lot. Then get to rotate props between, Twal, Tamo, Stefano, and that way, if someone like Tamo has a year like he did where he's not contributing as much, it won't be as harmful. Because you look at us, for example, where we had Spencer Lenu playing 10, 15 minutes a game. If you have one of your props who, say, Madge goes, well, he's having a shit day, we're going to keep him off. Got more backup there for it now. Because obviously, Peachy's going to push 12 to prop. So, and he can also play 80 minutes if he really needs to. And if towards the back end of the game, when fatigue's kicking in, say the last 15 minutes or something, if Peachy is too fatigued and you're playing Hastings off the bench there, you can stick him as just a ball playing prop as well, if you really have to.
Yeah, so basically.
Then, you've got that covered. You don't need to waste your bench rotation with your props to fill that gap.
Yeah, I have a rough idea of what I think our main 17 will look like next year once Dewey comes back and there's no injuries, etc.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see what Madge has played.
Yeah, Madge is an interesting one. See, fingers crossed it ends up what I suspect is happening with your halves will be Brooks, Dewey, Peachy will go to lock, and then Hastings to 14.
Yeah, Hastings, the Benji Marshall-esque.
Yeah, and I think that position is massively important now. Like, it used to be a bit of an insult, I guess, to players, but now the way the game is, I think that 14 is actually quite vital now. It's a very important position if you want to make a run for the 8 or the premiership or whatever.
You look at what most teams have done.
Yeah. Like,
the Storm were able to use Nico Hines as a 4.
Yeah.
The Rabbits had Benji. I'm not going to insult the Panthers by saying who they had.
Well, it's funny. A lot of the year we had actually a fair amount of the year we played Mitch Kenny at 14, which worked quite well because he can go into dummy half or whatever, like if need be. We had games there where Appy Coruscant came back and he wasn't fully fit, like match fitness wise, because he got injured. So we were able to run Mitch Kenny off the bench and he would, say, take over that hooking role for, say, 15 minutes or whatever, or 10 minutes, which saved games for us. So even ignoring the Tyrone May fucking thing for a minute.
Shit show.
Yeah, if you've got the right player there, it's a huge benefit. Like, absolutely, it can win you games. So, it's just, fortunately, we've got, for some reason, that a lot of Panthers fans are like, how the hell is he the one getting picked there? And a lot of them suspect it's his friendship with the coach's son.
And potential relationship with the coach's daughter.
I have no idea what the hell is even going on, but, this isn't me just slandering them online. Like, this is, you go across social media and there's so many people saying it, both Panthers fans and not. Like, Tyrone May did not have a good year on field. We ignore everything else for a minute. Just as a football player on field, if it's anyone who played like him through the year would get criticised at any club.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like,
he just got lucky.
Yeah, he got a bit lucky
in more ways than one.
I honestly think it should have been Mitch Kenny on the bench. He deserved it just on form more than Tyrone May did.
Yeah, for sure. Mitch Kenny robbed.
He absolutely was. I think just on form, he played much better when he was at 14. He doesn't have as much of the passing skill as a Tyrone May, but what good does that do us when that's the only skill he had? Like, he had some good passes against the Warriors in one game. He can throw a good cutout pass in that, but the rest of his game's absolute garbage. And maybe, he just needs a good offseason or whatever. I don't fucking know, but I'm not the coach. I don't see them behind the scenes, but he just, I don't know. For me, I would rather see the back of him, but that's just me. All right, we should.
Is he a contract at the end of next year?
I think I heard that he got re-signed for one season, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it's been officially announced. Okay. Yes, he can negotiate from now, I think. I think next year was his last year, technically. See what happens.
Yeah, you might get your wish of seeing the back of him.
I wish,
maybe.
But I'm not.
Are you getting your hopes up?
Not really. I don't see him leaving. there's no chance any other club's going to give him a contract. Not going to happen. I don't give a shit. Like,
not
I've
at all.
seen it. There's 1 or 2 Panthers fans who are like, oh, no, he's good at the utility. No, sorry. He would not. I honestly don't think any other club is going to give him a contract.
No, he can just get royally and utterly.
Because even if you just look at it on field, his form isn't good enough over what any other club can put at 14.
Even the Tigers have
like,
better options at 14.
Yeah, like with Hastings and Peachy coming across, there's no fucking way I'd pick Tyron May over either of them. You've got guys got your Watsons and your Kurtmans and all these guys across the comp, and or you got clubs like the Dragons where they blooded juniors in there here and there. Like, I'd even take those guys, and they had, like, we played, I think, Dragons, and they had young bloke come on off the bench and he scored a try or whatever. Like, these guys, most clubs have a better option for the bench.
Yep.
So.
If he gets sacked by you guys and he wants to keep playing, he's probably going to have to go to the Super League.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the option there.
Or a train and trial deal. I'd imagine that's all he's going to get.
Yeah, pretty much. Unless he has like a ridiculous off season and he improves dramatically. I don't see it. All right, might leave it there. Pretty sure Aaron's got a prior engagement.
Yep, Aaron's got a skedaddle.
But it was fun, sort of. Maybe a bit emotional at times.
We do it to ourselves.
Yeah. But, hey.
All for the great game.
If they don't want that, they should win more games. The way it works.
Exactly.
Potential's there. Everyone has the potential to be in the 8. So, just do better.
Only 8 teams can get there, though. 8 teams are going to have to miss out, and you got to fight for it. You got to show that you want it.
We've all been there, unless you support the Storm, I guess.
My team lacks.
I'll get it. Hastings will come over and he'll teach them all to fire up. So that's the key piece that's missing. He'll teach them all how it's done. All right. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch us next Sunday.